A recent study by the Consumer Bankruptcy Project found a drastic jump in the number of older adults filing bankruptcy. As Tyler Lake reports, the numbers indicate a worrying shift in the fortunes of elderly Americans.
Beth Wentz's basement art studio is her refuge.
Now see, these things like this I would enter in a show.
She collects everything she can for her multimedia artworks. All of it can be a little overwhelming, but she has a system to make sense of it. That wasn't the case when it came to large amounts of credit card debt that she carried several years back. Wentz didn't know how to sort through that mess.
Well, it did weigh heavily on my shoulders because there was no one I could share that with. I mean, I didn't want to say, oh, woe is me, because I caused this, but yet it just wore on my conscience constantly.
Wentz says the debt became too much after she lost her job of 28 years. She paid what she could, but she knew something had to give. Like many elderly Americans, Wentz turned to bankruptcy, and she ended up working with the Senior Law Project, which is part of Indiana Legal Services. Most individuals who file in this country file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, often referred to as the Fresh Start bankruptcy. Most Chapter 7 cases end in discharge, which erases unsecured debt such as credit card and medical debt. But while your debt is gone, the bankruptcy will stay on your credit report for a decade. Wentz knew that when she filed, but a fresh start is exactly what she needed.
The bottom line is I knew I couldn't meet the payments that I had acquired or accumulated over a period of years. And looking at my age and looking at job-wise, this was the only option.
And she isn't alone in those feelings.
And between the 90s and now, the percentage of older Americans in bankruptcy has increased more than twofold. And as a percentage of the population, the bankrupt population, so people who actually file bankruptcy, it's increased 500%.
Pamela Foey is one of the co-authors of the Consumer Bankruptcy Project report. She says everything from credit card debt to mounting medical bills causes many elderly people to file for bankruptcy. And she says there's a reason that this vulnerable segment of the population is having an especially hard time.
So our social safety net has been tightened in recent years. For example, now Social Security full benefits start later, right? And this also occurred at the same time that employers moved from defined benefit to defined contribution retirement plans, shifting the risk of market collapses onto now older Americans.
Seniors whose retirement funds took big hits as a result of the market losses in 2008 weren't in a position to work to put more money back into those funds. So the economic rebound really didn't do much to help them. According to that Consumer Bankruptcy Project report, median debt in households with older adults more than doubled from 2001 to 2013. For elderly folks who don't have the potential to go out and work to generate more income, that debt can be daunting. And that's before the calls from collection agencies start. Wentz got one at an art gallery she was working at part-time.
I don't know how this guy got my phone number from where I worked, and he was calling, and it's kind of harassing, which I thought they couldn't do.
Foey says that incessant phone calls are a common tactic for collection agents. And under that pressure, people can make life-altering mistakes.
What they do and what our data seems to show is they cash out their retirement accounts. They use that money to pay off the medical bills because you need medicine to survive, and then they're left with nothing, and they can't keep up with their everyday expenses.
That's a state of affairs Wentz understands all too well. When she lost her job, she lost her retirement account. So she's doing what she can to make ends meet. Foey says retirement funds are vital for seniors, so she has some advice for those who find themselves in a situation similar to Wentz's.
This is a situation you're in. File bankruptcy. Don't cash out your retirement account.
And while things are bad for seniors, they could end up worse for millennials. Foey says older Americans and the younger generation are in similar circumstances, but swap out housing debt for student loan debt. As for Wentz, she says there's plenty of life after bankruptcy, no matter how old you are. And she's determined to keep making her art and move on.
I'm going to be able to clean my studio, get it together, and make art and sell it. So hopefully that's down the line. I'm aiming towards that.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Tyler Lake.